So Wes Huff goes on to Flagrant, Andrew Schulz's show with Akaash Singh. And it was very, very good. They talked about a lot of things. I think they covered the gambit of all Christianity. Anything Christian and any questions you could ask, I think they threw it out there. They threw it out on the table. And to be honest, I think Wes Huff knocked it out of the park. You couldn't have had a more perfect answer to about everything that I saw. My name is Brandon Fogel. This is Evolution. Let's dive into this. I also want to talk about, should we program AI to be a Christian? I want to float that out there. Just to put food for thought for anyone that has even thought of that idea. Would that be a safe thing for our world and for humanity? To have the next echelon of what our future entails to be AI as a Christian? I'm kind of thinking maybe we should maybe put that into the hardwiring and the programming so that the software, when it becomes like Terminator style, it's still a nice Terminator, That's what I'm thinking. But regarding Andrew Schulz and Akaash Singh and everything that they fired at him, the questions, Andrew is a Christian, and he seems like he propagates or promotes or whatever Orthodox. He kind of aligns more with the Orthodox vibe of Christianity. Wes is a Protestant, and Akaash, who's on the show, I'm not sure what he is. I think he's a Hindu, but he does not agree with Christianity, and he seemed like the only one on the show that was kind of giving him a little flack because he doesn't agree, and I totally get that. But I also want to talk about when it's laid out so clearly and articulately as Wes Huff did, I kind of get why people wanted to crucify Christ when the truth is standing before you. And I know Wes Huff, he's not the same as Jesus. He is not truth incarnate. But it doesn't, because this always flabbergasts me thinking about, why did those religious leaders want to crucify Jesus? The perfect man, and saying what is absolute truth. Why did they hate it so much within a small window of time, wanted to kill him? And I'm not saying Akaash wants to kill Wes Huff or anything like that, but it kind of makes sense because we're seeing it front and center with someone that tells someone what the reality is, and you just cannot accept it. He cannot accept it. I love these guys at show. I love what Andrew Schulz and Akaash. I think they do an amazing show. That's one of my favorite podcasts, and I love listening to them. But it doesn't matter when you have a different worldview of everything. It makes sense. I see it, and it shows you that how corrupt we are as people, that our hearts, we can be staring truth in the eye and we can just walk away. And he went so far to even saying, I'm hating Christianity more and more the more you are talking. And we're going to take a short clip of this encounter, and this is the build up. They covered everything. It was so good. All the things they went through, you name it, they went off on it. Because these guys are just straight up guys, and they threw everything out at him, and just anything that was in their heart and on their mind, and anything that would trip up anyone from embracing Christianity, they threw it out on the table. And Wes, I think, answered it very well. Pretty much everything.
But even that idea of you'll know my followers by their fruits. Uh-huh. It's like if you see a Hindu or a Sikh that's feeding people at their temple, or a Muslim that's living a very pious life, perhaps they're living a Christian life. Is it possible that is the fruit that you can know them by?
A Christless Christian life isn't a Christian life.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you know he's not in there?
It's written on your heart.
Sure, but if he's confessing Sikhism, the tenets of Sikhism,
Confessing.
God's going.
Confessing.
God's going.
Crazy.
God's going. Listen. You could call it that. You're.
But so here's the thing. All religions are saying.
I'm hating Christianity more and more. You moving me from Christ.
That's okay.
I was closer than I was an hour and a half ago.
I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. That's like
Now we're cooking though.
the belittling thing that Christians say, right?
Yes.
But it's some people that disagree so much and on like fundamental worldview issues, they can still talk. This is what like separates from anyone that wants to shut people's mouth and the people that it doesn't matter how far we disagree, we can still talk, we can still laugh, and it's not the end of the world. The people that are on the opposite viewpoint of us, they're not Hitler. They're not Hitler and they're evil. And I don't think Akaash would think Wes is evil, but he just so disagrees with it. He so disagrees with it. And this really puzzles me because it was put out like almost every question that he could say, and he said it clearly. And he made it so just poignant that all truths cannot be the same. But I think like anyone, people have words or phrases or situations that will trigger them. And that goes for anyone. And the word that set him off was the word confessing. I mean, and that can seem archaic. Somebody, I confess something. I'm the martyrs became named martyrs because they were witnesses. That was what the word martyr meant. Because they stood for their witness, they confessed Christ, and they died for Christ. But I see how like one word, because I've had in my own life where words just, they light something up in the back of my mind. They bring back a memory. They bring something that just puts me in a squeamish position. I don't feel so good. And Akaash's reaction, I mean, I get that. He's like, confessing. You making me hate Christianity more and more. And that goes for anyone. I mean, the message goes out to everyone, and I just love how we're talking about this. Like it seems like on everything across the internet, Jesus is the talking point. Jesus is what we're at least talking about. And I think these guys, sometimes it seems like not all of them are on the same page in everything. There are Christians in the room. There's a Roman Catholic. There's an Orthodox, Andrew Schulz, and he kept trying to win Wes over to that side. But I mean, for me, it doesn't even matter sides within Christianity. At the end of the day, Jesus isn't looking down and saying, that's my fundamental Baptist. I love him, but I don't like that Episcopalian. He's got something wrong. Or that Orthodox over there. I'm not accepting. I don't know why Jesus has a Southern accent, but you never know. No, I don't think he would. Christian is Christian at the end of the day. And that's why I'm fully for everything. The walls coming down, the barriers coming down between the dividing lines that we've just artificially created and put up. But it is extremely intriguing to me that someone can see the light. It can be right in front of them, but our natures, we cannot accept it. I can think of times before I was a Christian, I would go to Bible studies, and you're thinking about everything in the world other than what is being talked about. You're thinking about, tomorrow and the next day, things I got, my plans. And if you even are talking about Jesus or truth, it really doesn't resonate. It doesn't really sink in. Before I became a Christian, I was a wall. And when people would talk to me about it, they were talking to a wall. And something has to quicken or make something come to life inside you before it even makes sense. And I think that was with the religious leaders in Jesus's day. They saw this man that was opposing their political power. and they wanted to kill it. They wanted prestige, they wanted influence, and they wanted power. And this man, this Galilean carpenter, comes up, who's a hick himself from Nazareth, and he starts just challenging us, making us look stupid. And it doesn't matter how much truth he is saying, or we can't convict him of sin. He hasn't done anything actually wrong. We just got to start making stuff up. And they just hated him. They hated him. This reminds me of Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow, he did and he still does stand like for Christianity, and he wears it on his sleeve. And people hated that. People hated that. They lose their mind. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm biased where I think he was a good football player. I think he was a good football player, but that's the bias in me. I wanted him to do well, and I liked him. And other people, what he was standing for, they immediately hated it just because what he was standing for, what he was kneeling for. And they could not take Tebow mania. Wes Huff is another huge tool in God's tool belt that he is using. And I certainly pray for Wes Huff, because when you have this ability to take the masses and be able to propagate Christianity in such a way, things are going to be coming at him. Things are going to be coming at him, and from all sides, Satan is not going to turn a blind eye to what Wes Huff is doing, because he's taking the internet by storm, and he's been on everything. He's going on everything, and he's making the conversation about Christ just mainstream. Everybody, if you are not in on this Jesus thing, you're behind right now, and you need to catch up, because everyone's talking about it. And when Jesus is on the table, it doesn't matter. Some people are going to hate it, and some people are going to love it. And we saw that in this show. It was hilarious. There were so many fun things in the show with Andrew Schulz and these guys that are on there. And another thing, Wes Huff came bearing gifts to the show, and this could have been something it didn't seem like he gave gifts to the guys that weren't Christians in the room. And maybe that was planned. He gave the Andrew. Maybe he thought Andrew would appreciate it more. And I don't know the other man's name, but who's a Roman Catholic or a Catholic in there, who's a Christian. He gave him a gift as well. He gave him the papyrus of the Gospel of Thomas, like he did on Joe Rogan's show. So maybe that planned. Maybe did that kind of set Akaash off? Maybe did that set the other guy off to they are a little more hostile? Would they even been happy? I think everybody likes a gift. And maybe he did behind scenes, backstage, gave them all a gift. But maybe he just thought the Christians would appreciate it more. It was a very intriguing hour, actually almost 4 hours, over 3 hours. And Andrew was like, I could go on days and days talking about this. I would love you to stay here. But we can't keep you captive. We gotta order the Uber. And then within the last, everything, the whole podcast was fire. But in the last even like 2 minutes, they asked him, they threw on Wes's lap. They said, can you sum up what the Trinity is? Sum up the Godhead in 2 minutes before the Uber comes. And even that, Wes Huff, probably tired of speaking, wants to get out of there, maybe wants to go eat, and he still just kills it and just says he made it so clearly, understandably, and it was aligned with orthodox in what the Bible says, that of the Godhead, the God is 3 persons in one being, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Praise Jesus. This was awesome. All right, have a great day, everyone.
I could see the cracks form in the paint, growing like a fire. What do I say? Can you see them? Can you see